Have you ever thought about what it would take to build something like the New York Stock Exchange, but, make it completely open, global, and run entirely on code? Well, that's the huge idea we're going to unpack today. Let's dive into Injective Protocol, a blockchain that's aiming to be the new home for decentralized finance. So to really get why something like Injective even needs to exist, we've got to rewind a bit to the early days of DeFi. Just picture trying to trade on a highway that only has one lane. Every single transaction is a car, and the traffic jams, they were legendary. This meant trading was just painfully slow, and the tolls, or the fees, were unbelievably high. It just wasn't practical for anyone trying to do some serious trading.
So that kind of makes you wonder, right? Instead of trying to patch up that old clogged highway, what if you could just build a brand new 10-lane superhighway designed specifically for high-speed financial traffic? A system built from the ground up for one single purpose, creating the absolute best trading experience possible. And that's really the core idea behind Injective.
All right, so let's break down exactly what problems this new superhighway was built to solve. What were the real core issues that were holding back decentralized trading?
Now, this slide really lays out all the roadblocks. First off, you had these insane gas fees. I mean, imagine paying a $50 toll to drive a car that's only worth $20. That's what trading felt like sometimes. The cost to make the trade could be way higher than the trade itself. Then you had the slow speeds. We're talking minutes to confirm a single trade, which is an absolute eternity in the world of finance. And on top of that, most platforms were limited to just simple token swaps, not the complex tools that professional traders actually need. And finally, they just couldn't scale. The more people that used them, the slower and more expensive they got.
Okay, so we've got the problem. What's the solution? Well, this is where Injective steps in, a protocol designed from day one to tackle every single one of those challenges head on. And here's the key thing to get about Injective. It isn't trying to be a jack of all trades. Nope. It is a specialized high-performance layer built for one thing and one thing only: finance. This focus is what allows it to offer these professional-grade tools like derivatives, futures, and complex swaps. The kind of stuff you'd normally only find on traditional exchanges, but now it's all happening in a decentralized way.
And man, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way: high fees, sluggish speeds, basic tools. But on the right, you see the promise of Injective: fees that are practically zero, instant transaction speeds, and a full suite of pro trading tools. It's a total night and day comparison, really. It's like going from a clunky, expensive system to one that just feels seamless.
But how does it actually do all this? I mean, it's easy to promise speed and low fees, but delivering on that promise takes some pretty clever engineering. So let's take a quick peek under the hood at the tech that makes it all possible. It really comes down to three key layers. First, its foundation. It's built with a Cosmos SDK, which is kind of like a supercharged toolkit for building custom high-speed blockchains from the ground up. Second, it has a bridge that connects it back to major networks like Ethereum. And this is so important because it means Injective isn't some isolated island. And finally, its trading engine uses decentralized order books. You can think of this like the classic stock market system, where buyers and sellers list their prices, creating this really transparent market. But the huge difference is that it's run by the community, not some central company that could get shut down or censored. Of course, like any of these decentralized networks, Injective has its own native token, which is called INJ. But it's not just for speculating. It actually plays a really critical role in how the entire system works. This chart breaks it down perfectly. The INJ token has three main jobs. A big chunk of it is used for staking, which is where holders can lock up their tokens to help secure the whole network. Another major function is governance. If you hold INJ, you get the right to vote on the future of the protocol, like deciding which new markets to add. And finally, it's used for incentives, rewarding the users who provide liquidity and actively trade, which keeps the whole ecosystem humming. All right, but let's be real. No project exists in a bubble. So for our final section, let's get a clear-eyed view of where Injective fits into the competitive landscape, the risks it's facing, and of course, where it's headed next. Now, this is a really helpful comparison. When you put Injective right next to its major competitors, its key advantages really start to pop. While some competitors use a different model, like an AMM, which is kind of like a simple currency exchange booth, Injective uses those professional-style order books we talked about. This allows for much more advanced trading strategies. And you can see right here that its big bet for the future is its focus on being an open, interoperable ecosystem with strong multi-chain support. But hey, it's not all smooth sailing. There are definitely real risks to think about.
Like any DeFi protocol, there's always the danger of bugs in the smart contracts. Competition is absolutely fierce, not just from other decentralized projects, but from massive centralized exchanges too. Regulation is a huge unknown, especially for things like derivatives. And at the end of the day, its success depends entirely on attracting enough users and enough liquidity to make the markets feel alive and vibrant.
Looking ahead, the ambition is crystal clear. The plan is to just keep expanding, launching new synthetic markets. And this is really cool. It means you could eventually trade assets like gold or stocks right on the blockchain without ever actually owning them, just by tracking their price. The goal is to keep building those bridges to the entire financial world. And that brings us right back to where we started, with that really powerful question. Injective is one of the most ambitious attempts we've seen so far to answer it. It's a bet that the future of finance isn't housed in skyscrapers in Manhattan, but is built on open, transparent, and unstoppable code. Whether that bet pays off, well, that's something we're all going to be watching.